Hello everyone, so today I've created an everyday natural look with sheer brown shadows on the eye and fresh luminous skin with a little bit of contouring on the cheekbones. So starting off with the skin, I'm going to be using one of my favourite eye pads to depuff the eyes and correct any darkness under the eyes, because if you're anything like me and you overindulge in Christmas time, a little bit of pampering will do you a lot of good. So I just basically placed these under my eyes. They were kind of whole circles, but I just folded them in half just to correct any areas of puffiness. And I'm also obsessed with kombucha at the moment, and I'm on this little health kick, so of course I couldn't resist having a little bit of that. Let me know if you like it, because I think it is incredibly good. Just peeling off the eye pads now to reveal fresh, depuffed eyes. Now I'm going in with one of my favourite serums. This is the Bakel Deep Hydration Serum, which is basically pure hyaluronic acid, and I find it to be amazing when I use it around my kind of wrinkles, fine lines. It just plumps everything up and it makes a beautiful prepping base for any makeup you're applying. Next, going in with a new product, which is the Hydraluron from Boots, my favourite store ever. I'm just applying that on top. This is actually a moisturiser, although it does feel like a serum, but you can use it in place of a moisturiser. And it's basically a more thicker moisturising version of the serum. The serum has more of a thinner consistency, and this is my final step. And I'm also applying some hydrating primer around the areas that I'm kind of flaky at the moment, especially under the eyes, because my concealer tends to stick there and crease in my eyes, so this kind of helps that happening. So for my base, I'm using an illuminating foundation, which tends to be my favourite type of foundation. Anything that reflects light works really well on my skin, and I'm just buffing that in with my Real Techniques Expert Face Brush, which actually is one of my favourite tools for foundation for approximately about a year now, so I kind of just buff that in the areas. I'm also going in with the partner of my foundation, the YSL Air Touch Eclat highlighting pen. This isn't a concealer, but because it has such a thin consistency, it does not crease at all, so I find it really good to use in the areas that maybe needs a little bit more coverage but not a thick coverage, such as the areas around your nose that get a lot kind of more red in the winter time. And I just like to go back and forth between my smaller buffing brush and my original foundation brush to make sure there's no kind of distinguished line between the foundation and the illuminator. So I'm currently trialling the Maybelline Fit Me concealer at the moment, and I'm currently using it here. Let me know if you've tried it. I'm still in the process of reviewing it, but I picked this colour because it kind of has a peachy undertone, and at the moment I wouldn't say severe, but I have mild kind of blue discoloration under my eyes. I don't think it's from sleep, but it might be from stress, so I'm kind of using this to counteract that and just kind of pushing it in with my fingers because it's a little bit of a thicker formula. So now moving on to the whole priming process, I'm using my Byterry eye primer, which has a really interesting consistency if you've ever tried it. It's kind of like a whipped air mousse consistency. And it's very lightweight actually, but it does dry fairly fast, so you have to really focus on blending it out. But it's a really interesting product, so I do encourage you to try it if you haven't. So if you know me well enough by now, you know that I absolutely love dewy, luminous, glowing skin, if you will, and I'm actually using a newer product. This is the Josie Maran highlighter. It's pretty much like liquid gold, and I'm applying it with my foundation brush so it doesn't look too gary. And doing this, you're kind of mixing the foundation with the product, so it's becoming more like a skin product rather than an artificial gold metallic sheen on your face. And I'm just buffing it in with a duo fibre brush. So now that we've added light into the face, it's time to add some shadows. So I'm just using this contour kit that I actually previously reviewed in a couple of videos back. Check it out if you haven't. And I'm just carving out the cheekbones. This is not a drag look, this is a very subtle daytime contour. So I'm just taking it right underneath the bone, right up until the hairline, and just blending it in with the same brush. Then I go in with my foundation brush just to clean up any kind of fallout underneath, and also to give the line a real sharp, clean finish. And if you want to as well, you can also take a little bit on your hairline. Be careful with this part though, because you do not want it to look obvious, so I advise just using the products left on the brush. The product that's left on the brush, don't go in with any more product. Introducing the Suqqu loose powder. I was so excited to use this in this video. It's such a loose, kind of finely milled powder. It's beautiful on the skin. If you're into skin makeup, foundations, bases, really kind of barely there perfecting products, you would love this. It's kind of similar to the Chanel Universal powder, and it doesn't really transfer or look as a powder on the skin. It just gets rid of a little bit of shine and sets the makeup. It's absolutely beautiful. I do recommend it. I only went in once with this powder because you do pick up a lot of product no matter what brush you use, and I'm just softly going over the center of the face and any areas that I don't want any shine. Then brushing up my brows, which is a step that I pretty much do every single day, just so I can see how my brows lay so they're ready for any brow product to come. So going in with my brow pencil, I'm basically just defining any areas that lack hair or need a little bit of fullness, especially the tail end of my brow. I tend to find that's always a little thinner than I like. And this is pretty much my everyday brow. You can do whatever you like or whatever you feel comfortable. So to keep my brows lifted and in place, I like to finish off with a small coating of brow gel. I like this one because it doesn't feel sticky or crunchy on my eyes, if that makes sense. So starting off with a nude matte shadow, Vanilla Bean springs to mind. I'm just applying that all over the lid using a large flat brush, and I'm going from the lid all the way up to the brow bone. This is just going to create a smoother texture than have kind of a sticky primer on your lid. Sometimes primers make eyeshadow patchy, believe it or not, even though they do help increase the longevity of the eyeshadows. And you could even do this in place of using a primer. It just helps even out any redness. So now moving on to a different shade, I'm using this nude beige kind of iridescent eyeshadow, just applying that with a smaller brush all over the lid. And your application doesn't have to be precise with this, just make sure that it's applied to the lid, and you can also apply a little bit on the tear duct to open up the eyes and brighten up the whole look. Then taking a matte tone brown shadow using a 217 brush, I'm just going to carve out the crease of my eye and make a smooth transition. So this is basically the second step, transition colour. It helps everything look more polished at the end, and it will save you a lot of legwork when it comes to blending. If you're not really someone to use eyeshadow that often, you'll find this step very useful. Then going with a clean brush just to soften any harsh edges. So I'd like to introduce you to a new brush discovery. This is the Zoeva Brow Highlight Brush, which actually is perfect for a very soft, smudgy look under the eye because it's not too precise and it blends out beautifully. So I'm just applying that Latte under the eye just to mirror what's on the top. Then going in with a Suqqu colour from the palette. This is a warm tone brown, and I'm applying that slightly further down than I applied the transition colour, a little bit more onto the lid. This has the most beautiful, small, complex glitter I've ever seen. It's not a chunky glitter, it's not kind of a cheap looking glitter, it just looks so beautiful in real life. Hard to explain, but if you see it, you know what I mean. Then I'm taking the deeper colour of those two browns. This one's a little bit more, I guess, cool toned, I would say, a little bit more purple, and I'm going further down over the top of that lighter brown that I applied, slightly pushing it onto the outer corner of the lid. Now, a fresh makeup look or a clean makeup look couldn't be complete without a nude liner in the waterline, so I'm using my Makeup Forever concealer pencil, which I love, just in the waterline to make my eyes look bigger. So going in with the blackest of the black shadows, Corrupt by Makeup Geek, I'm applying some of the shadow on the lash line, mainly just in the outer corners. I want to elongate the eye without doing a wing, and I find the most flattering way to do this is with a little bit of shadow buffed into the lash line. And as you can see, it just makes the eye look more feminine, more defined, and it's just a real quick way of defining the eye without having to tightline or do precise liner. Now, if you have extremely straight lashes like me, I do recommend to curl them, and I really love the Kevin Aucoin lash curlers. Cue the mascara face. I'm just applying some mascara. This is a pretty good mascara, not my favourite, but hey ho. Then I'm applying some very pink blush that may look scary to you, but it's so beautiful on the skin. It kind of looks like a soft, kind of cool tone pink. Barely noticeable, but it just gives a little bit of flush of colour. So I'm going in with one of my favourite nude pencils. This is Subculture by MAC, and I'm just lining the entire lip and just kind of giving it a little bit more definition just to balance out the eye with the lip. I'm then applying a kind of a soft pink colour called Bouquet in the centre of the lips just to add more fullness and kind of just a little bit of different interesting colours, but very subtle. And I'm just blending that out softly with my fingers, and I'm slightly going over the lip line to give more of a plump pout. And that is the finished look, a very fresh, easy to do look, perfect for going back to work and just trying something new. I hope you enjoyed this and I'll see you very soon. Bye!